Hi everyone, Meteorologist Emery here in the Fox 19 First Alert Streaming Center. We're live wherever you stream for our Thursday edition of 19 at Noon. It's Friday Eve, getting closer and closer to the weekend. The final days of summer are upon us. The final day of summer actually is Saturday, because Sunday officially at 8:43, I believe, in the morning is when we officially begin the autumnal equinox. And unfortunately, the forecast does not look fall-like for quite some time, because it's just going to stay pretty warm. However, we do have some rain chances in that 7-day, as well as beyond the 7-day coming up, which I will update this afternoon for Chief Meteorologist Steve Horstmeyer. We show you that 14-day forecast at 6:45 in the evenings, and only station to do it. And it's really nice and helps me as a forecaster, but it also helps you with planning, because that far out, obviously a lot can change, but gives you an idea at least of, hey, this is going to be warmer, it's going to be cooler. And we've been telling you the last couple of weeks, if you've watched on 19 at 6, that we've looked to begin to see a pattern shift for the end of September, beginning of October, and that appears to be the case, at least with rain chances. Still looks warm for the time being. Yeah, let's hope it gets cooler. So let's begin with the drought monitor. This updates once a week. It updates, well, the data is collected on Tuesday. I want to say Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon. It's interpolated, it's reviewed, and then once they finish reviewing it, then they publish it Thursday morning, just to double check for errors and stuff like that. And it's been going around for, the drought monitor has been a thing every week since 1999. And this is not the worst drought we've experienced in the tri-state, but it's definitely up there with not only showing extreme drought conditions, but also the impacts that are associated with it. So right now, this is a look at that drought monitor. As you can see, a lot of locations now under a severe drought. I'll take this up full screen for you, that way you can see it yourself. But we not only have severe drought conditions in Cincinnati, but also towards Hamilton, towards Lebanon, over towards, Lynchburg, Goshen, Milford, Loveland, Mason, Westchester, Middletown, all the way down over towards Harrison, West Harrison, Batesville now included, Dillsboro, Versailles, Carrollton, just all these different locations I'm reading to you. Just some of the spots that are now under that severe drought. Dry Ridge, Owenton, Independence, Union, Highland Heights even shown in that severe drought. And then also towards Hebron, Lawrenceburg, Falmouth just outside, really close though. Pretty much severe drought conditions there. And then the extreme drought conditions now include portions of Warren and Clinton County. Much of Highland County is still under an extreme drought, and even the exceptional drought now showing up for far eastern Highland County, including portions of the Paint Creek Lake region, and then also towards Rainsboro and over towards Bainbridge, which is right along the Highland-Ross County line, if you're familiar with that area, right along US 50. Now, with this, the burn ban map has been expanded. Now, if you watched this yesterday, this map was a little bit different. Now it's a lot more red. And that's because since yesterday midday, a couple of counties have been added, including Decatur County in southeast Indiana, and Fayette County, I believe, was not on the map yesterday for 19 at noon. So all of southeast Indiana in the tri-state, the exception being Wayne County in Indiana. Everyone else, though, under a burn ban. In northern Kentucky, all of the Fox 19 Now viewing areas, counties in northern Kentucky, with the exception of Mason County, are under a burn ban. Awaiting for Mason County, because every state does it a little bit differently on burn bans. In southeast, or in Indiana, they do it by the Department of Homeland Security, I believe, in Indiana. So emergency managers, they contact with local fire and sheriff, and if the conditions are warranted for it, they issue burn bans. In Kentucky, the emergency manager might have an input or say, but it's ultimately up to the county judge executive. They're the ones that issue the burn ban as a burn ban could have penalties with it, whether it comes to damage from a fire or just disobeying that law. And I did an interview yesterday with the Deputy Chief Fire of Covington, Jimmy Adams, great guy, and that interview can be seen on our website, fox19.com. But, I mean, they do burn bans for a reason, because with how dry it's been, a fire can easily spread, and it's very labor-intensive for firefighters, according to Jimmy. He should know, he's one. And on top of that, it can take away from resources that could be attentive and other things that the firefighters could do. So it's really important that, when it comes to burn bans, just be mindful. And then on top of that, even if your county is not in a burn ban, you need to be responsible, be what we call fire-wise or fire-aware, and knowing that having an open flame, if you have it, have water nearby, and just be smart, ultimately. But in Ohio, there's a little bit of a difference here, because when it comes to county burn bans, outside of the seasonal burn ban that goes on in Ohio, only the Ohio State Fire Marshal can declare a burn ban. Now, we showed you up to yesterday, it was just Highland County. Today, I've expanded it on this map to reflect what the State Fire Marshal had said, and that is any county that's in an extreme or an exceptional drought may be included in a burn ban, and that was from their last two press releases. So it's not from an official paperwork yet, but based on the language of those two paperworks, it's a strong suggestion that they're going to be in a burn ban very soon, if not already, if they have issued that release. I haven't seen it yet, but expect to see that for those counties as well, because of, again, extreme drought conditions there in those counties. But it's something to take very seriously, considering how dry it has been. And we do have rain chances in the 7-day forecast coming up here in a couple of minutes. I'll show you that. But right now, let's look at some of those current temperatures, dew points, winds. Before we begin, though, I do want to show you a camera. I want to show you, let's do the tower camera. The Newport camera kind of lags a little bit sometimes. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. And again, thank you also for joining us here on wherever you stream. If you have any questions or comments, you can chime in on our Facebook pages, both the Fox 19 Facebook page as well as my Facebook page at Ethan Emery WX. And I'll check those out here in a couple of minutes. Let's look at the current conditions first, though. Behind me, our tower camera that's located in Fairmount, looking towards downtown. And as you can see, we do have some puffy cumulus clouds beginning to develop with that daytime heating. A little bit of convection at the surface, allowing these clouds to bubble up a little bit, but we do not expect rain today. It's just a little too dry for that. But an indicator that we are looking at some warm conditions. 86 already here in Cincinnati. Our daytime high in the forecast is 89. We might need to bump that up, considering that it's only noon. So something I'll do at the conclusion of this 19 at noon, because I am going to be updating the forecast and updating beyond the 7-day forecast for Steve here this afternoon. So I'm filling in for meteorologist Catherine Bodak. Frank is sick today, so Catherine filled in for him. I'm filling in for Catherine. That's just kind of what the schedule lines up to be. But I will be here for the 3 and 4 o'clock newscasts on Fox 19, but then Steve will join at 5 o'clock. But right now, temperatures looking pretty warm out there. 83 towards Middletown. We got 82 in Batesville, 82 also in Harrison. 86, the warm spot, of course, at CVG. 85 in Hamilton, 84 at the Lunken Airport, and over in Wilmington at the Wilmington Air Park, and 83 in Batavia. The dew points, the measure of the moisture in the air, still a little humid out there. Dew points in the low 60s, but, I've been repeating this, saying that it's not the air you can wear, it's not muggy, but consider how warm it is a little humid. And to add my point about the burn bans and about being fire responsible, the winds, we got to look at those on days like today, pretty much every day until the burn bans are no longer, or at least the drought conditions improve significantly. And the winds, they're light, less than 10 miles per hour. However, the slightest breeze, with how dry it is, can spread a fire very rapidly. So again, that just kind of shows you the importance of, again, being fire responsible, fire wise. And this afternoon, again, it looks really warm. In fact, I would not be surprised if several locations break into those low 90s. But our forecast right now does have 89 here in Cincinnati. So that's 11 degrees above normal for this time of the year. See, in the forecast we had 83 for noon. It's already 86. So 92 degrees possible this afternoon in Cincinnati. So really important to stay hydrated, really important to find ways to stay cool, especially if you're heading out to the Oktoberfest Cincinnati. If you're heading over to, there are several other events going on too. Don't want to forget those. Oh, the LPGA Queen City Championship. Can't forget that over in Mainville. And then just any other festivities, activities you're doing. You want to keep that in mind. And if you're traveling this afternoon across the region, some rain chances present towards Pittsburgh, but everyone else, though, looks dry with a mix of sun and clouds. Upper 80s to low 90s. In fact, 90, the high temperature expected over towards Indianapolis. So what we're going to do now is I will look at the forecast model for rain chances this weekend, as we do have that. And then also we'll look at the 7-day forecast and then look at temperature trends beyond the 7-day forecast, all coming up here in just a couple of minutes. But now let's go ahead and take a look at our comments, both on Facebook as well as, the Fox 19 Facebook as well as my Facebook. Eventually we'll be able to do comments on YouTube, but right now we're limiting it to just Facebook. Wow. It's been 12 minutes I've been rambling and no comments on the Fox 19 Facebook page. Hopefully you can hear me. We'll go to my Facebook page real quick. Got to check it on my phone because I can't do it on both computers. As I open up my Facebook page, got an accident report. If you're traveling east in Adams County, in Brown County, there's an accident on Ohio Route 32 and Ohio Route 41, which I believe is Peebles. So if you're traveling in that region, there is an accident there. I'll look at the traffic map here too in a little bit, in case if you're traveling for lunch or what have you here. No comments on my Facebook page either, so I'm just talking to myself for a little bit longer. Easy to do. Okay, so this is our forecast model. This is for those of you who follow weather models. This is what we call the European model, and it shows dry conditions, of course, today and tomorrow. There is a wave of energy Friday night into Saturday, which could bring us some showers, maybe a rumble of thunder, but it's moving into drier air, so it's going to have a really hard time maintaining itself, though I think the best opportunities will be in the morning, and it's associated with a kind of a mid-level cold front. It's not really a cold front per se, but it's a trough is what we call it, and it is going to swing its way through and bring in that opportunity for a sprinkle or light shower, maybe a rumble of thunder for our northern counties, but again, as it moves through, it is going to really struggle to maintain itself. Then we go into Sunday, and I'll tell you what, Sunday has been a mixed bag between different models you look at. There's a lot of uncertainty at hand because Sunday we are looking at an approaching system. And this model here does show that Wednesday evening, could we see a stray shower to our west? And right now, I think we're going to be dry just because of that uncertainty at hand. But not just this one, but other models are trying to go back and forth on Sunday. Though I think right now it's better bet to say more dry than wet. Now, Monday, on the other hand, I do have rain chances present. And this model has both morning and afternoon rain chances on Monday. We go into Tuesday, and Tuesday does look like showers and thunderstorms. And Tuesday, we also have a front making its way through. And so with that, Tuesday, I would be surprised if Tuesday, a couple of these storms might be little overachievers, meaning that they could obtain some gusty winds, maybe a good downpour with that. And, of course, downpour sounds nice with rain, but consider the fact that the soil is so dry that water is just going to run off. You need a good steady rain. You need it to be not necessarily a heavy rain, but more of a light to moderate rain. That way the soil can absorb that rain, take it in, and it'll help alleviate the drought conditions. Because otherwise, you're going to get a good downpour. It'll be disruptive for you, and it's not going to do justice to the drought. So Tuesday, we'll have to keep an eye on that for the potential of a downpour, maybe a gust of wind with some of those storms. We go into Wednesday, and the models are beginning to be a little bit drier for Wednesday. But we will see the opportunity of storms pop up, I believe, towards the end of next week. So play this out, going into Friday. Well, you know what? Again, I haven't updated the forecast yet. I haven't looked at all the stuff in depth, and it's actually showing a lot drier air for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But this only goes out to Saturday night to Sunday. So eventually we go towards that weekend, the 28th and 29th. I do see a chance of rain, even though this kind of stops right at that point. But that's going to be the beginning of a pattern shift with temperatures a little bit, and going into October, and will bring us opportunities for showers and a few storms. So it looks like Wednesday might be a little bit drier now. So that's something to consider for next week being the first week of fall. Now, it's not on the 7-day forecast, but Sunday is the first day of fall, officially at 8:43 in the morning, if I'm not mistaken. And, of course, Monday we have the Monday Night Football game with the Bengals in town hosting the Washington Commanders. Should be a fun game. Hopefully a first win of the season will come out of that game. But we are looking at temperatures still pretty warm and a few showers and storms that day. And then Tuesday, some isolated to widely scattered storms, high of 85. And then Wednesday, down in the lower 80s with morning lows in the low 60s. So next few days, looking pretty warm, pretty dry for the most part, the exception being maybe Saturday morning. And then, of course, rain chances again Monday and Tuesday at least. Wednesday does appear to be a little drier. Now, here is a temperature map. This is at the surface, and as you'll see, looking really warm the next few days. So there's Friday, high of 90. We go into Saturday, upper 80s and low 90s. Sunday, same thing. We go into early next week, still looking very warm, mid to upper 80s. Monday might be a little bit warmer. And then we go into Tuesday, mid 80s, and then Wednesday, lower 80s, and then the next few days after that, upper 70s and low 80s. So, name of the game, really warm and fairly dry. Now, we've had some viewers reach out asking about rainfall deficits. That is something I'll be working on this afternoon. Hopefully I'll have it ready for the 3 o'clock show if you want to join us there. I did that over last Thursday, I believe. Takes a lot of work. You got to do some math. You got to do some research. You got to make sure you extrapolate the data, make sure you analyze it, make sure that it's accurate. And also you want to compare it to an average. And some rain gauges in the tri-state are not old enough to have a good average. So let's say, for example, you look at a rain gauge that's been around for 10 years. Well, that data is going to be really skewed because the last 10 years, some years have been really, really wet, and others have been kind of dry, like this one, for example. But it's not going to give you as good of an average as other locations. CVG, for example, has had data since 1871. When I was looking through the data, some of the other areas that had a lot of older data was Hillsborough, I believe Maysville, and then the other one I think was Kings Mills that had relatively long enough data that you can get a good average to base it from. So I will work on that this afternoon. Try to show you that for the 3 and 4 o'clock newscasts here on Fox 19. And, of course, Steve will have that access to show you at 5 and 6. If I do recall, Hillsborough last Thursday, the deficit was 7.35 inches below normal. And that was a week ago. And that is that of the data I analyzed, that was the outlier. Hence why they're under a severe and even close to an extensive drought. Other spots, I think including Cincinnati, was about 4 inches below normal. Now again, that was last week. There are some changes that's going to be made to that. So I will have that graphic ready for the 3 and 4 o'clock newscast. And when it comes to the fall foliage, the drought obviously is going to affect it. If you want a good fall foliage, good changing of leaf colors, good views to see that, you need it to have obviously some rain chances, and you want there to be around this time of the year a little bit drier conditions. Not this dry, but somewhat dry. And you also need to have cool nights and mild days. Emphasis on mild days. With how hot it is, it just dries out the leaf even more. They fall early, it makes a mess. It's mostly brown or maybe yellow leaves. And that's about it. There are some exceptions. There are a few different variations of trees or shrubs that do still have a red color to it, or an orange color. Makes it look somewhat decent. But compared to previous years, especially if I recall 2 years ago, the foliage around this region was beautiful. Not going to see quite that nice of colors in the tri-state. Now, if you want to get some good views, the best bet to do is to look at the drought monitor. It's not a full guarantee, but at least it helps a little bit. And across the region, if you're able to travel, I would say your best bet over towards portions of eastern Kentucky, not far eastern Kentucky, but near the Daniel Boone National Forest, probably the northern fringe of that, maybe towards Lexington. If you can't go there, I would say past Buffalo. And I've heard, and I haven't been up there before, that is a bucket list of mine for travel, is upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. All those spots not dealing with drought conditions, so I'm sure the colors are going to be fantastic here over the next few weeks. And then also towards central portions of Michigan, towards the middle of the mitten, they are not experiencing drought conditions there, although the UP and lower Michigan, southern Michigan particularly, are dealing with some abnormally dry conditions at least. So those are probably my suggestions if you want to go towards areas that have good color. Maybe even towards North Carolina, although you'd have to wait a little bit longer because their foliage is expected to be much later in the season, specifically towards, I want to say late October. So you'd have a couple of weeks of planning before you head down there. Though there might be a couple of spots maybe that are beginning to show some change. Okay, so I've talked quite a bit. Hey, we got a couple of questions, finally. I was looking at it earlier and figured I was going to draw it out. So, switch the camera real quick. And we will have to wrap this up soon because we got to get ready for Now the Natty at 12:30. Susan says, hi, Ethan. Bring on some rain. I wish it was more rain, but hey, a little is better than nothing. Diane says, hi, Ethan. Good afternoon. Susan says, a meteorologist I follow said the Canadian model was bringing in a lot of rain. Have you heard anything about that? Well, the Canadian model, a good meteorologist analyzes multiple models, not just one. Now, I show the European model because it usually does a fairly decent job, although it's been hit or miss recently. I would say that when it comes looking at models, a meteorologist has to assess those models and pick the one that has the best likely outcome based on that meteorologist's knowledge and interpretation of it. It's just a tool at the end of the day. I would say the Canadian model, it has its flaws sometimes, and I feel like in this scenario, given how dry it is, sometimes models can really overdo rainfall expectations. Heck, with how dry it's been, even radars are having a hard time detecting how much rain we really get. Because back on Tuesday, since we monitor stuff for the Reds, CVG said that near the ballpark, or not near the ballpark, but rather the airport, had about 4/10 of an inch of rain, according to Steve. Reality was it was a trace of rain, whereas the radar thought it was 4/10 of an inch. That's a big difference. And so take that into account when it comes looking at models. A good meteorologist would be able to dissect that. Not saying this meteorologist you're following is bad. That's not what I'm saying is that the Canadian model is saying a lot of rain. Be a little pessimistic about that. As a tool, that model, not the best. The European model, the GFS model, a little bit better idea, better understanding of the current atmospheric conditions. Diane saying, so no rain this weekend. Saturday morning is probably going to be only chance. Other than that, I think we're going to be fine. Rachel saying anything looks severe. Maybe a couple of strong rumbles, a strong thunderstorm or two can't be ruled out Tuesday. Otherwise, I don't think there's anything severe. Garnett says good afternoon. Good afternoon to you as well. Look at my Facebook page real quick. Don't want to miss any of those folks. Two comments there. Clarine says, hello, young man. Hi to you as well, Meemaw. Caroline says, hi, Ethan. Good to see you. Good seeing you as well. Susan says, hello. Hello. Jeff says, hello, we need the rain. Yes, we certainly do. And I know up in Greenfield, they really need it. And I know in Hillsborough, it's also really crunchy grass, for sure. Okay. I've said a lot on this 19 at noon. So we need to conclude this and get ready for our 3 o'clock newscast and also give you an updated forecast on the website as well. So that'll do it. Thank you all so much for joining us. Have a wonderful Thursday. We'll see you at 3 o'clock and beyond right here on Fox 19 Now.